The body of a 19-year-old girl was found inside an active bakery oven at a Walmart supermarket. She was burned to death, her body completely charred and unrecognizable. The case grew more mysterious as the police have yet to announce the cause of death. Many TikTok videos from Walmart employees explaining the oven's operation were posted they suggesting that no one could be locked inside unless someone had secured the door from the outside. So, was the girl's death in the Walmart oven an accident or a meticulously staged murder? Join us as we uncover the unsolved secrets behind this globally sensational case. But first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get notified whenever a new video is uploaded. This is a true story that occurred in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada, in the middle of last October. The case of a 19-year-old female employee found burned to death in the Walmart bakery oven, with many mysterious details not yet disclosed, has attracted worldwide attention, along with countless hypotheses and rumors stirring up social media. Words like the Walmart tragedy or the charred body of the 19-year-old girl in the oven make the case even more mysterious. Around 9:30 p.m. on October 19th, the 911 call center received an emergency call from a supermarket coordinator. The employee reported that a woman was trapped inside the bakery oven, and more frighteningly, the oven was still operational. The caller did not know if they could cut off the power to the oven, and the situation became increasingly tense, as no one could be certain about the safety of the woman inside. The 911 operator immediately took the information and continued to request details about the situation. At the same time, the rescue team was deployed and was on its way to the scene to rescue the victim as quickly as possible. In the chilling recording from the 911 call, the coordinator described the unfolding tragedy as a technical rescue call, but in reality, it was a horrifying scene beyond imagination. When the rescue team arrived, they immediately tried to get the victim out of the oven, but unfortunately, the girl had died. When the police arrived at the scene, they were faced with a chaotic sight. Outside the supermarket, a crowd of shoppers had gathered, many panicked and shouting, while others could only stand and watch with stunned expressions. The supermarket employees seemed unable to keep calm as the horrific scene continued to unfold before their eyes. A police officer at the scene described the situation at the time as no different from a horrifying tragedy. Under the cold white cloth was the charred black body of the victim, along with the pungent smell of burnt flesh that made many people cover their noses, unable to endure the terrible stench. The victim was identified as Gursimran Kaur, 19 years old, an immigrant of Indian origin. Even more heartbreaking is that the first person to discover Gursimran Kaur trapped in the oven was none other than her mother. On the fateful evening when the incident occurred, Gursimran Kaur's mother began to feel worried because she hadn't seen her daughter for over an hour. She called her daughter many times but did not receive any response. The phone was also unreachable. This made her even more fearful, as Gursimran turning off her phone during work hours was extremely unusual, completely unlike her usual behavior. Growing increasingly uneasy, the mother decided to inquire with other employees in the supermarket about Gursimran. However, the answers she received were only headshakes or indifferent responses. They thought Gursimran might be busy in some area of the supermarket assisting customers. 29. Because Walmart is a very large supermarket, finding an employee could take some time. As time passed, around 9:30 p.m., an employee in the bakery section suddenly noticed a strange leak from the baking oven area. At this moment, Gursimran Kaur's mother was also searching around, and when she approached the oven area, a feeling of horror overcame her mind as she looked closely inside the oven. Inside the baking oven was her daughter, Gursimran Kaur. At the time Gursimran was discovered inside the oven, these appliances were still running. When the rescue team arrived, Gursimran Kaur's charred black body was removed from the oven after hours of effort. The tragic death of the 19-year-old girl in the bread oven left all employees and customers at Walmart in shock and astonishment. Gursimran Kaur and her mother left England to move to Canada, starting a new life less than 3 years ago. Both mother and daughter worked at the Walmart supermarket. Like all other immigrants, Gursimran Kaur and her mother dreamed of a better future when settling in Canada. Gursimran is remembered as a young, beautiful girl who came to Canada with big dreams of a bright future. The tragic death of Gursimran Kaur not only shattered her mother's heart, but also left all residents of Halifax in astonishment.
I feel sorry for the family, the co-workers. It's very shocking. It's very sad.
Halifax area police have called the death of the 19-year-old girl at the Walmart store a heartbreaking tragedy, shocking the entire world.
Our investigators are working with the Nova Scotia Medical Examiner Service and Occupational Health and Safety to determine the manner and cause of death.
According to information from the police, the investigation is in the early stages, and it is too soon to accurately determine what happened to the young female employee. The officers also emphasized that this investigation is very complex, involving many partner agencies, and will take time to clarify the entire incident. The officer in charge of the case, Martin Cronwall, stated that as of now, there is no official conclusion on the exact cause of Gursimran Kaur's death.
We just ask the public, once again, for their patience throughout our investigation, and we ask that people be mindful that of the family members involved and the co-workers.
Additionally, the police warned the public not to spread speculative information on social media about this tragic death.
Just be patient with our investigation and let us do our job.
Following this tragic incident, many organizations and individuals have voiced their condolences to the young woman's family. Satnam Singh Randhawa, president of the Sikh community in Halifax, where Gursimran's family lives, also expressed deep sorrow over this great loss.
When she noticed that her phone is not responding, after a while, she found her body in that oven, and that's really sad. If the husband comes here, that will be a really good thing for the family.
A GoFundMe campaign has been launched to support Gursimran Kaur's family during this difficult time. The suffering this family has to endure is beyond words. They greatly need help from all of us to overcome this horror, Satnam Singh Randhawa shared. The fundraising campaign has raised nearly $200,000 to bring Kaur's father and brother from Punjab, India, to Nova Scotia, Canada, to attend the funeral. The Walmart store in Halifax has been temporarily closed to facilitate the investigation. Additionally, a cease and desist order has been issued against the store's bakery and equipment related to the accident. Although some information has been disclosed, the condition of the oven and safety procedures at the store are still under thorough investigation. Meanwhile, the Halifax community and Gursimran's friends and relatives continue to hope that the investigation will provide clear answers and justice for the young woman who left too soon. Memorials set up outside the Walmart store with flowers, candles, and messages of condolence to Gursimran Kaur's family. According to the latest update, as of October 29th, Nova Scotia's Department of Labour, Skills and Immigration has officially lifted the cease and desist order at the Walmart bakery in Halifax. This cease and desist order was issued immediately after Gursimran Kaur's body was found in an oven at the store's bakery on October 19th during her work shift. The cease and desist order was applied to ensure workplace safety and was lifted after confirming that the bakery had fully complied with labor safety regulations. This means that the bakery can continue to operate safely if Walmart decides to reopen this location. In a letter sent to all employees on October 27th, a representative of the Walmart supermarket on Mumford Street stated that the store would remain closed for at least another week. The Walmart store representative also stated that they have not yet determined an official date to reopen. Moreover, over the past 5 years, investigators from the Labour Party have conducted a total of 9 inspections at the Walmart branch on Mumford Street. However, the results of these inspections did not lead to any enforcement actions, nor were any fines or administrative penalties issued. As of October 30th, the Halifax District Police have not released any updates on the ongoing investigation into the cause of Gursimran Kaur's death. In the meantime, rumors that Gursimran Kaur was burned to a crisp in the oven are spreading rapidly on the internet. The sensational stories about her tragic death have created a wave of confusion and curiosity worldwide. Many Walmart employees could not hide their confusion when discussing this unfortunate case. Some experienced individuals have stated that the oven where the incident occurred is designed to not be able to close by itself without significant external force. This detail has led many to speculate that Gursimran Kaur was set up or murdered by someone who lured her into the bakery oven and then locked the door from the outside. From here, speculations and hypotheses about a thrilling and suspenseful murder case have attracted millions of views on social media platforms like Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. In a series of videos posted on TikTok, current and former Walmart employees have shared their insights into the operating mechanisms inside Walmart's bakery ovens. One of them is a video by Mary, an employee working at the store. In the video, Mary expresses confusion when describing the safety features of the supermarket's oven. Mary asserts that the oven door cannot close by itself, and its mechanism is designed to always require significant force from the outside to shut it completely. In her video, Mary performed demonstration actions, stepping inside the oven and showing how to use the emergency venting function from inside. She stated that opening the oven from the inside only requires a slight push on the safety mechanism, which leaves Mary and many other employees puzzled, unable to comprehend how someone could be tragically trapped in the oven. I don't want to hypothesize or endorse conspiracy theories, but clearly something is wrong. This oven is designed with very high safety standards. How could something like this happen? Mary added. Her video quickly attracted attention, reaching 3.6 million views, along with numerous comments from Walmart employees across Canada. Many people expressed agreement, stating that the bakery oven does not easily lock shut like that. A different bakery employee previously shared that the safety release inside the oven is made of metal and the oven becomes extremely hot when turned on. An anonymous woman with many years of baking experience shared detailed insights into the operation of industrial ovens amidst numerous rumors surrounding the tragic death of Gursimran Kaur in a bakery oven. In a clip posted on TikTok, the woman thoroughly explains how a standing oven operates, while guiding viewers to delve inside the giant steel box. She emphasized that these videos were not filmed at any Walmart store, and she does not have specific information about the type of oven involved in this tragic incident. However, based on her work experience, the woman believes that most types of ovens share similar features. The woman asserted that there is no emergency shutoff switch inside the oven, although there is an emergency release button. They are made of metal and become very hot when pressed, especially when the oven is at a high temperature. Sharing about the baking process, she stated that employees typically set the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. When the oven is opened, it does not turn off automatically, but continues to operate all day until someone switches it off. In another video, the woman continues to illustrate the enormous size of the oven by pushing a large wheeled rack that holds up to 15 baking trays into the oven. Although this rack takes up quite a bit of space, there is still enough room for a person to step inside. The woman also confirmed that it is very rare for an employee to have a reason to step into the oven while it is operating. We never clean the oven while it is on. The only reason we might step inside is to pick up oil paper that has fallen on the floor, she added. Many netizens believe that because the police have not disclosed the cause of death of the 19-year-old Indian girl, the online speculations have gained more public attention. According to CBC News of Canada, a source has revealed that the oven at the supermarket where the tragic incident occurred was not locked. This is an industrial oven, large enough for a person to step inside. Another Walmart employee, named Chris Breezy, shared a new and chilling perspective on the tragic and mysterious death of Gursimran Kaur.
You have to pull it really hard to open it. This is the inside. The oven is hot right now. I don't even know if I would fit in here, honestly. I'm 5'1", medium built. I would have to crouch down to get in. There's no emergency latch in here, but I would never be in here. Whether I'm cleaning it or not, I would not be in the oven. Now for the oven to close and lock, you have to push this with all your might and pull the handle to the side and lock it in place. There is no way possible somebody could lock themselves in there. Now somebody could throw me in there and lock me in there, but that's a whole different scenario.
The mysterious death of Gursimran Kaur in a Walmart oven quickly became one of the most shocking events in public opinion. A wave of rumors, hypotheses, and conspiracy theories surrounding the incident spread strongly on social media platforms like Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Millions of people were drawn into the intriguing story, leaving numerous comments, analyses, and video discussions about this strange death. On Facebook, numerous groups and personal pages began sharing conspiracy theories surrounding the death of the 19-year-old girl. Some believed that this was not an accident, but a sophisticated assassination orchestrated to hide a darker truth. Based on a series of TikTok clips from Walmart oven operators and many experienced oven operators worldwide, hypotheses about the tragic death of Gursimran Kaur became more intense. Facebook posts pointed out that the industrial ovens at Walmart do not easily turn on automatically, and someone locking themselves inside is almost impossible. Some users theorized that Kaur was pushed into the oven and deliberately burned to death to eliminate all evidence of a murder. On TikTok, the incident was fueled by short, thrilling, and sensational videos. A well-known account investigating mysterious cases shared a video analyzing images and information about the oven where Kaur died. This person emphasized that there is no internal locking system, and it must be controlled by someone outside. This user even linked Kaur's death to a series of other mysterious cases occurring in major U.S. stores. This detail sparked a conspiracy theory about an underground criminal group operating within the retail system, specializing in dealing with disobedient people, or those who dare to reveal certain secrets. On Instagram, images and videos of Kaur were widely shared, from photos of her while she was alive, to images leaked from unofficial sources. Followers of the case began speculating about Kaur's personal relationships, suggesting she might have been killed by a colleague or an acquaintance. Some Instagram users shared anonymous messages, purportedly from Walmart employees, revealing that Gursimran Kaur had conflicts with store management, raising suspicions that her death might be related to personal revenge. There are even stranger conspiracy theories suggesting that Kaur's death is linked to a mysterious organization manipulating the entire retail industry to conduct scientific experiments on humans. Supporters of this theory on Facebook and TikTok claim that Walmart is actually a front for horrific experiments, and Gursimran Kaur may have become a victim of a new technology experimental project. The online community is spreading images of suspicious details in the oven and rumors that it was equipped with technologies not found in any other devices. Although there is no official conclusion from the police, the death of Gursimran Kaur has sparked a wave of bizarre theories on social media. Every day, a multitude of new videos and articles appear, drawing more people into the search for answers to this case. However, many still lean towards the hypothesis that the young woman was murdered or pushed into the oven by someone seeking revenge. The most pressing question remains: did Gursimran Kaur really die from an accident or from some dark conspiracy that we have yet to uncover? Meanwhile, Kaur's family is still waiting for justice, and the online community continues to analyze, speculate, and weave more stories around this mysterious death, making the case increasingly complicated. Currently, the police are conducting a thorough investigation into this strange death, while the Walmart supermarket where the incident occurred has been closed for over a week since the tragedy. The exact cause that led Kaur to be trapped inside the oven has not yet been clarified, raising a series of hypotheses and rumors about her death. Imagine the horror her mother went through when she discovered her daughter's charred body in the oven, commented an internet user. Gursimran Kaur was inside the oven for many hours, and finding the body in such a condition has left an unhealable psychological wound for her mother, said a spokesperson for Gursimran Kaur's family. Gursimran Kaur's mother is currently believed to have suffered severe shock after witnessing the horrific scene of her daughter being charred in the oven. This is the end of the video. Don't forget to press the like button and subscribe to the channel. This will help us continue to bring you more meaningful content. Thank you for watching, and see you again in the next videos.
In the 1960s, Phil Spector was already famous as a brilliant musician, honored as one of the top 100 greatest artists in history, and as the producer of the Beatles and John Lennon. Phil Spector lost everything after the fateful night he took a stripper home in 2003. From being a respected star, he fell into a life of debauchery and ended behind bars with a sentence for being a dangerous murderer. What happened to such a musical genius? Let's find out right now. The story today is set in the city of Alhambra, Los Angeles, USA. Alhambra is located in the western San Gabriel Valley, east of downtown Los Angeles, covering an area of about 7.63 square miles. Although it's a small city with a population of less than 90,000, Alhambra is famous for its diverse economy, with many small businesses and retail stores. It also has a large Asian American community, living and working alongside the natives. The city has all the amenities and services such as education, healthcare, and recreational areas. The school system is highly rated, and there are many parks for residents to walk and enjoy the scenery. Additionally, Alhambra is considered a safe and secure place to live because the local government always focuses on maintaining order and security in the area. However, in such a modern and safe city, there was once a horrifying murder that haunted both America and the entertainment industry to this day. And that was the case of Lana Clarkson, a rising star at the time. In the Los Angeles area of Alhambra, there used to be a beautiful, luxurious, and splendid mansion on Grandview Street, known as the Castle of Pyrenees. This mansion was like a special hotel with 28 rooms designed in a lavish style. Everything began on February 3rd, 2003, when Phil Spector went to the strip club House of Blues in Alhambra. As a musical genius and one of America's top music producers at the time, Phil's attendance at the club made the owner feel honored. On his first visit, Phil received a VIP pass, allowing him to come to the club whenever he wanted and choose any girl to entertain him. During a visit to the club on February 3rd, Phil's eyes fell on a beautiful and hot stripper named Lana Clarkson. At first, Lana didn't care who he was. In fact, with his strange attire, Lana even thought Phil was a woman. However, after the club owner introduced Phil in detail, Lana's attitude immediately changed. The management then instructed the stripper to treat Spector like royalty. During her performance, Lana gave Phil many meaningful glances, and he understood what they meant. Thus, after some sweet persuasion, Phil succeeded in inviting Lana to his house for a drink after her shift. Coming from a less privileged background, meeting a big shot in the entertainment industry like Phil Spector was indeed a godsend for Lana. After Lana finished her shift, she left with Phil, where a limousine was waiting. The young Brazilian chauffeur, Adriano de Souza, stepped out and opened the door for his boss and the girl to get in. On the way, Phil and Lana talked a lot. Lana expressed her desire for Phil's support to break into the entertainment industry, as she had always dreamed of becoming a famous actress in Hollywood. After about an hour's drive, they finally arrived at Phil's large and luxurious mansion on Grandview Street in the Los Angeles suburb of Alhambra. Phil took Lana inside and prepared a private party for the two of them. He also instructed Adriano to return the next morning to take Lana home. While the boss was inside, Adriano took the opportunity to clean the car thoroughly and check the internal engines to ensure there were no errors. He parked the car in the garage of the Pyrenees villa and then took a taxi back to the dormitory to rest. However, an hour later, Adriano suddenly returned because he realized he had left something in the limousine, a brown leather briefcase containing his study materials. As soon as he grabbed the briefcase, Adriano was startled because he suddenly heard a gunshot coming from inside the boss's villa. Before he could fully process his shock, he saw Mr. Phil trembling as he slowly walked out through the back door, even holding a gun in his hand. Phil Spector's voice was filled with extreme fear as he told the driver, "I think I just killed someone." Adriano rushed inside to check the situation and discovered a scene more horrific than any horror movie he had ever known. Lana Clarkson's body lay motionless on the couch with a single gunshot wound to the mouth. The victim lay still on the couch while wearing a black dress, her feet still in high heels, and her handbag hanging on her right shoulder. On the red carpet were some of Lana's broken teeth, and nearby there were also 2 sets of iron armor, unique decorations in the room. It was as if they were guarding Lana. A .38 caliber Colt revolver with a box of ammunition lay right under the victim's left foot, and inside it was a box of 5 bullets. Too terrified, Adriano first tried to call Phil's manager, but only heard the voice of the answering machine. So Adriano immediately called 911, and it was around 4:30 in the morning. 30 minutes later, the police arrive at the scene at the Pyrenees villa of the famous music producer Phil Spector. The first strange thing the police noticed upon arriving was Phil walking around with one hand in his pocket, one hand holding a gun and whistling. Adriano was also present and led the police inside to examine the scene. Besides that, Adriano had discovered in the living room, the police also found a blood-stained piece of cloth on the floor and a wet handkerchief in the bathroom sink nearby. Additionally, there were many bloodstains on the door handle, on the stairs, and the railing. Bloodstains were even on Phil's coat, hanging on the coat hook in the upstairs dressing room. In the living room, candles were burning near the fireplace, and nearby, there was a glass of liquor on the coffee table. It seemed the victim had drunk alcohol before dying. A soda can and a bottle of tequila were also found placed on a larger table in the corner of the room. After searching the entire large villa, the police also collected 9 more guns. Investigating the scene, the police preliminarily concluded that the victim died from a single gunshot directly into her mouth. Based on witness Adriano's testimony, they speculated that the time of the incident was precisely 4:30 a.m. The detectives immediately questioned Phil Spector to find out what had happened. He only gave a vague answer that Lana Clarkson, while drinking with him, suddenly grabbed his gun and shot herself in the mouth. When the detectives requested to check Phil Spector's hands, as he was still holding the suspected murder weapon, he refused outright. However, after identifying that Phil's gun matched the bullet that killed the victim, he was immediately arrested on February 3rd. According to the police investigation, before going to the House of Blues, Phil Spector had dinner at the Grill restaurant in Beverly Hills. Witnesses said he drank a lot there and was so famous that everyone recognized Phil Spector. After dinner, Phil felt he hadn't had enough fun, so he asked the driver, Adriano, to drive to the club, where he ordered a cocktail and a bottle of water, then tipped the staff $450. After getting acquainted, Lana agreed to go home with Phil, hoping he could help her become an A-list star in the near future. However, Lana could not have anticipated that this would be the worst decision of her life, as she would lose her life tragically afterward. In an interview in July 2003, Phil Spector recalled that Clarkson kissed the gun before it went off and took her life. Phil Spector also claimed he had never met Clarkson before. I didn't know who she was or what movie she had been in. To clarify the motive of the perpetrator, the police quickly began investigating the relationship between Lana Clarkson and the eccentric famous music producer Phil Spector. It was known that the victim, Lana Clarkson, was a beautiful actress with golden hair, a stunning body, and a relatively good acting skills. She was born on April 5, 1962. In the late 1970s, Clarkson starred in many fairly famous TV shows and movies. Her most remembered role was as Queen Amalthea in the 1985 fantasy film Barbarian Queen. Besides that, Lana also appeared in advertisements of Mercedes-Benz, Kmart, and Nike. Lana traveled around the US and Europe while doing fashion photo shoots. Other projects took her to Japan, Greece, Argentina, Italy, Switzerland, France, Jamaica, and Mexico. In the 1980s, she volunteered weekly at the Angel Food Project of the AIDS charity organization. This place specializes in providing food for the disabled in Los Angeles due to HIV/AIDS. At a time when the disease was still feared and stigmatized by the public. However, Lana Clarkson's career began to stagnate as she passed her 30s. No longer able to make a living as an actress, Clarkson sought other sources of income, including running her own website, where she sold signed DVDs of her films and interacted directly with fans on message boards. Although she made a living playing roles of women with big breasts and sex appeal, Clarkson's biggest desire was to be cast as a comic actress or comedian. Unfortunately, she suffered a severe fall in 2001 and had to join the House of Blues strip club after recovering to earn money for medical bills and to make ends meet. Thus, the police understood that if Lana Clarkson had fallen so much in the entertainment industry, it was understandable that she clung to Phil Spector for support. On that fateful night, Phil recounted that at the club, Clarkson was very drunk, and then suddenly Lana screamed. She had been drinking a lot, Spector said. Accordingly, he recounted that Lana had hitched a ride with him to leave the club and then wanted to go to Spector's famous castle. To prove his innocence, he hired attorney Robert Shapiro, one of the most famous criminal defense lawyers. At the time, investigators continued to search for more information about Phil Spector. Phil Spector was born on December 23, 1939, in New York City, USA, in an unhappy family. Phil's father committed suicide when he was 13, and then Phil and his mother moved to Los Angeles. From a young age, Phil showed a natural talent for music, being able to play various instruments such as guitar, piano, drums, etc. 17 years later, Phil Spector recorded his first music album with the Teddy Bears, and it was known that these records were inspired by the inscription on his late father's tombstone. Not long after, Spector left the Teddy Bears and started his own path. By 1960, Phil Spector had produced many famous records and established his name with a unique, innovative, yet extremely captivating recording style. Phil was married 3 times, and his most famous wife was Ronnie Bennett, who was celebrated as a pop music icon of the 1960s in America. Although Phil's personal life seemed very happy on the outside, it actually hid the dark sides of this legendary musician. Before 1966, Phil Spector was suspected of sexually abusing his own wife, and Mrs. Bennett could be said to have been imprisoned in her husband's castle. According to Mrs. Bennett, Phil was not a madman from birth. With his career success, people started talking more about Spector and wrote about him as a genius. This led Phil to consider himself a genius after such praise and begin exhibiting unusual behavior. He lived like a crazy genius, Mrs. Bennett recounted. In 1977, while recording for singer Leonard Cohen's album, violinist Bobby Bruce imitated Spector's face during work. In response, Spector pulled out a pistol and threatened Bruce. "If you don't have the talent, don't imitate me, you crazy bastard," Phil Spector replied in anger. It can be said that throughout his music production career, Phil Spector accepted living with the image that fans had built for him, a crazy genius in both literal and figurative senses. Since then, stories about Phil's eccentricity had been widely reported in the press. He seemed like a reclusive man, living alone and isolated in his castle due to Phil's bizarre and incomprehensible personality. Another odd thing is that Phil frequently carried a gun and regarded it as an accessory. According to musician Doc Pomus, a former friend of Phil, his gun had to match his outfits. 4 weeks after Lana Clarkson's death, Spector gave an interview saying, "I take antipsychotic medication, but I am not a psychiatric patient. I am my own worst enemy. The devil inside me is fighting against me." After the story of Lana Clarkson being shot at Phil Spector's home was publicly investigated, the police received allegations from Sandy Kane, a retired dancer who had also worked at House of Blues before. This woman recounted that Phil Spector had used a gun to sexually assault her many years ago. Concerned for her safety, Sandy had to comply with all of Phil Spector's commands and requests. She did not report the incident to the police due to fear of Phil's revenge and the potential destruction of her career at the strip club. Being a VIP guest, it was not difficult for Phil to do this. However, that was not all, as the most condemnable act of Spector was the abuse of his own 2 sons, Dante Philip Spector and Gary Philip Spector. Upon hearing the news of their father's arrest in February 2003, both publicly condemned Phil's filthy behavior towards them throughout their childhood, until just before he was arrested for murdering Lana Clarkson. "For years, we were like animals in captivity, providing amusement for him." Phil Spector's behavior towards his adopted sons worsened after he divorced his second wife. About a year after Lana Clarkson's death, Phil Spector appeared at a preliminary hearing related to Lana Clarkson's death with his new lawyer, Leslie Abramson. However, the reason he changed his defense attorney was never disclosed. It is known that lawyer Abramson is a renowned attorney, and she had been very successful in defending criminal cases. Phil contacted lawyer Abramson to seek her help before she fully retired. Additionally, this very lawyer had admitted that Phil Spector was her idol, so she also wanted to assist him in this case. At the hearing, Phil Spector appeared in court wearing a black suit and purple glasses, drawing attention with his eccentricity. With his status and position in the entertainment industry, he was released on bail after paying up to $1 million. With her talent and experience, lawyer Abramson was very confident in this case and somehow managed to acquit her client and idol. When interviewed after the hearing, lawyer Abramson said, "I did not want to end my career as a loser, and I achieved victory." Everything seemed to quiet down until April 2007, when at the Los Angeles Superior Court, Phil Spector was again accused in connection with the death of actress Lana Clarkson. Deputy District Attorney Alan Jackson asserted to the jury that Phil Spector was the one who placed the gun in the mouth of the victim, Lana Clarkson, and pulled the trigger. According to the police investigation, Spector had previously threatened 4 women with a gun, but all 4 survived. As a result, a third lawyer named Cutler joined Spector's defense. According to Cutler, Lana Clarkson's death was a tragedy, but it was highly likely a suicide. The reason is that Clarkson was extremely despondent due to her declining career and increasing debts, leading her to feel so desperate and pressured that she decided to commit suicide. The first witness to appear in court accusing Phil Spector of gun-related sexual abuse was Dorothy Melvin. It is known that she had managed several famous actresses. According to Melvin, after drinking alcohol, Phil Spector acted like a madman. She testified that in 1993, Phil had approached and started flirting with her. However, when rejected, Phil, in his anger, hit Melvin on the head with a gun and restrained her to force her to obey him. However, for some unknown reason, Phil suddenly regained his composure and stopped his actions, allowing Melvin to escape. She then called the police to retrieve her handbag left at Spector's house, but did not press charges against him. Melvin merely wanted to make the incident public and limit her interactions with Spector in the future. Nevertheless, the testimonies of the victims were generally not sufficient to change Phil Spector in connection with Lana Clarkson's death. Therefore, the prosecutors focused on investigating what happened the night Clarkson was shot, including the events leading up to her meeting with Spector. Detectives discovered that Romy Davis was the first person Spector met that day. It was known that this person was a former classmate of Phil Spector in Los Angeles, so they had dinner together at a Beverly Hills restaurant. Davis recounted that he was not sure if Spector had drunk a lot that night. "I don't drink alcohol, so I don't know what it's like to be drunk," Davis recounted. The next witness was Kathy Sullivan, another former classmate of his. According to Sullivan's testimony, when the two met, they only had fruit juice and 2 light drinks, so Kathy confirmed that Spector was not drunk. They both went to the House of Blues sober. Kathy also added that Phil and the victim Lana met at the House of Blues while both were waiting in the VIP area. Lana Clarkson then recognized that a high-profile figure was at the venue and changed her initial indifferent attitude to become friendly and hospitable towards Phil. The two of them ordered strong drinks, and later, Phil persuaded and requested Lana to leave the club with him in a luxurious limousine. Kathy suddenly became a third wheel and was left behind at the bar, which made her very angry. The third person invited for questioning was Adriano de Souza, Spector's driver. He testified that on the night Lana Clarkson was shot, his boss Phil Spector left the mansion at 5 a.m. with a bloody gun in hand. However, defense attorney Bruce Cutler completely dismissed his testimony. According to Cutler, Adriano's testimony should not be trusted because he is an illegal Brazilian immigrant with limited English proficiency. According to Phil Spector's testimony, the evening after having some snacks and drinking a few drinks, Adriano had locked the doors and slept in the car. Spector had to make a significant effort to wake him up the next morning. Of course, Adriano still maintained that he drove the car that took Clarkson and Spector to Phil's mansion. He even claimed to have smelled alcohol when both of them got into the car. Adriano's testimony was considered strong evidence for prosecuting Spector. Spector's legal team was presented some evidence to prove that Clarkson had committed suicide with a gun. The first witness was Dr. Vincent DeMaio, the former director of the Bexar, Texas Forensic Center. According to DeMaio, the wounds on Clarkson's body was consistent with self-inflicted gunshot wounds. Therefore, Dr. DeMaio confirmed that Clarkson had committed suicide. However, Dr. Luis Pena refuted DeMaio's information. According to Dr. Pena, women rarely use guns to commit suicide and almost never shoot themselves in the face. DeMaio cited 3 gunshot suicides from his career to support his claims. According to psychological studies, women typically leave behind suicide notes before committing suicide, which was not the case for Lana Clarkson. Analysis of Lana Clarkson's blood samples showed a very high blood alcohol level, indicating that the victim had consumed a large amount of alcohol before her death. The victim's mental state was no longer clear, making gunshot suicide understandable. According to Dr. Lynn Harold of the Criminal Police Department, there were signs at the scene indicating that Clarkson's body had been moved after death. DeMaio was skeptical of this information. Although there was no blood on Phil Spector's hands, it was found in many places within the mansion. DeMaio noted that, considering the appearance of the two individuals, Phil, with his height advantage, could easily have grabbed the gun and quickly ended the victim's life. Another friend, writer David Shapiro, mentioned that before her death, Lana Clarkson frequently complained about running out of money and was thus experiencing a financial crisis. In her most recent email to Shapiro, Clarkson wrote, "I want to end everything. I'm tired of trying to make money." Clarkson confided in her friend, Jennifer Hayes, that she had to work at House of Blues to make a living. Aside from financial difficulties, Lana had recently been very distressed after breaking up with the man she thought she would be with for life. Clarkson was drinking more frequently and often mixed champagne with Vicodin tequila. Hayes emphasized she was extremely depressed. The testimony of Punkin Laughlin, Clarkson's closest friend, confirmed what Hayes had said. The victim was an alcoholic, used illicit drugs, and also suffered from depression. According to Laughlin, just a few days before her death, Clarkson told her that she had completely lost the will to live. "I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to live in the city. I want to end it all." According to the film directors, Lana Clarkson's position was consistent with that of suicide. However, no one was sure if Clarkson's death was a suicide or a murder. On the part of Spector, on the morning of February 3rd, 2003, investigators took a urine sample from him for testing. Dr. Robert A. Middleburg, a chemist, argued that this could not determine whether Phil Spector had drunk a lot the night before. According to Middleburg, natural sugar and yeast in urine can produce alcohol. If the subject does not urinate for a long time, the alcohol concentration detected would be much higher. On August 9th, 2007, 12 jurors and many experts visited Spector's mansion to review the crime scene. Phil was also present, and the investigators spent over an hour searching the entire house. Lana Clarkson's mother, Donna, provided some documents related to her daughter found at the house, and it appeared that Lana had borrowed some money from her friends. The most recent person linked to the victim was Hugo Quackenbush, the head of the Charles Schwab Corporation. Documents with several large loans prove that Clarkson had been experiencing financial difficulties recently. However, according to Donna's testimony, her daughter could not have had suicidal intentions. The day before Lana's death, the two had gone shopping together, and she bought a few pairs of low shoes for convenience as she frequently walked around the House of Blues. She was preparing for a long-term job. On the final day of collecting court testimonies, 5 months after the trial began, Phil Spector's defense attorney, Bruce Cutler, unexpectedly requested to withdraw from the case. Before leaving the courtroom for the last time, Cutler embraced Phil Spector and said farewell. That was Cutler's usual way of saying goodbye to his clients before each trial. Spector had changed 12 defense attorneys, and this made Cutler feel dissatisfied. Not to mention, Phil also disagreed with Cutler's defense strategy, despite her being a renowned attorney who had successfully defended the infamous mobster John Gotti in California court a few years earlier. Prosecutor Alan Jackson spoke extensively on the afternoon of the verdict announcement. He summarized the evidence provided by the 5 women, proving that the defendant had threatened them with a gun, as well as Adriano de Souza's observation of Phil Spector leaving the mansion with a blood-stained gun on the day of the murder and telling him, "I think I've killed someone." Alan Jackson also showed everyone short videos of Clarkson to make them understand that her death was very tragic. Jackson looked directly at the jury and said, "Justice belongs to you." On the morning of Monday, September 10th, 2007, Judge Fiddler requested Spector's wife, Rachel, and the defense attorneys to stop exchanging and answering interviews from reporters so that the jury would not be influenced by public pressure. After 7 days of deliberation to reach a final verdict, the jury felt completely deadlocked as they hesitated to reach a verdict on Phil Spector's manslaughter. More than 2 weeks later, on the 12th day of deliberation, the jury informed Judge Fiddler that they could not reach a verdict. As a result, Phil Spector faced a sentence ranging from 15 years to life imprisonment for the murder charge and maintained a bail amount of $1 million. At the subsequent press conference, Sandy Gibbons, spokesperson for the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office, stated, "We are disappointed with the court's verdict, and we will proceed to prepare for a retrial." Spector's second trial began on October 2008 and concluded in April 2009. This time, the renowned music producer no longer appeared with wild hair and a large security detail. Following him was only one bodyguard and his new 41-year-old wife. Also had only one lawyer instead of a legal team of dozens like the previous trial. Phil Spector's already shaky arguments began to reveal more holes. His troubled history of threatening women with guns was brought up again, and the gruesome photos of the victim Clarkson slumped in a chair made the suicide story seem completely implausible. Experts at the trial also explained that people who commit suicide almost never do so at a stranger's home. Moreover, Clarkson showed no signs of suicidal intentions. She had even bought several pairs of shiny new shoes and beautiful clothes just a few days prior. Not exactly the type of shopping someone would do if they intended to commit suicide. Ultimately, the jury in this trial concluded that Spector was guilty of second-degree murder, sentenced to life imprisonment, eligible for parole only after 19 years. However, Phil Spector officially passed away while serving his sentence at the age of 81 on January 16, 2021, due to complications from the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, many people feel that he should have faced a harsher sentence and been convicted in the first trial. Gene Rosenbluth, a law professor at the University of Southern California, explained, "If this had not been Phil Spector, with the substantial money involved, this kind of trial would never have lasted as long. Cases do not take so much time to argue when there is so much clear evidence against the defendant." Yet, one mystery that remains unknown is Phil Spector's true motive in the murder case. Only Phil Spector knew this, and it was buried forever after the musician's death 3 years ago. Thank you for watching the entire video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button to support our channel. For now, goodbye, and see you in the next exciting stories.